the level of Bakoil, from that higher level comes out all the Hamshachas, including the level of Ben, and now in this Maimer he introduced the idea of Bas also, that the Bas is indicating, we said before, a great Yichud above. That powerful Yichud began, even though it's primarily, like Tzemach Tzedek explains, with Yaakov Avinu, but it began already with Avraham. So Avraham is already beginning the Yichud of Matan Torah, and that is the idea that Bakoil is the level of Bas. Now we're going to connect it back with our other Pirushim, that Bakoil is the general bracha, and Bas is this level of the Yichud and Zivug Elyon. So we're holding Ois Tes, fourth page of the printout, page Ches, Ois Tes. According to what we said before, that from the Medrash Rabbah we're able to see, from what the Medrash Rabbah brings, the mashal of a king that stayed the execution of a certain person because of the daughter, the Bas, that would marry the king. So according to this, and from that we learn out the Yichud and Zivug Elyon. So according to this, that we can explain also the connection between the explanation that Hashem benched Avram with everything. That means that he had a daughter, Ima Amar Le'il, what we said earlier, that the idea that Hashem benched everything, benched Avram with everything, that is the essential concealment, the level that's totally beyond even any type of helm. It's a helm she'ein b'metzias, like the fire in the flint rock. To be able to arrive at this very high level. How does one attain this very high level of this essential concealment? Specifically through the avodah of daughter. The idea behind this is, though the idea of the essential concealment is, it's something that comes from above, like we have in the pasuk, Hashem benched Avram with everything. What Avraham did was Zaken, Zeshakana Chachma, Zaken V'yoshe B'yeshiva, he was sitting and learning, and what Avram did was Ba Bayamim, he had the shleimus of mitzvahs, so there was the Torah mitzvahs that he did. And once he did the Torah mitzvahs of his own, so then from above they gave him Havaya Beirach. There was Hashem benched Avram with everything. So why are we saying over here that there's an avoida that brings us about? So the Rebbe says in line 14, Mikol Makim Tzarich Liyos Avoida Gam Kein Me'ein Zeh. There still has to be an avoida that's similar to this all-inclusive level, to this level of Bakoil, to be able to tap into this and to be able to bring this down. Like we explained previously, that what brings down the level of Bakoil, the level that is the Helem She'ein B'Metzias, the level that's higher than even Koyach HaMaskil, the success and learning and way beyond. When a person's avodah is in Torah, studying, fulfilling of mitzvahs in a way of toil and effort, that they are pressing themselves in the matter of chachma. This is especially so, especially through the challenges and the tests that Avram faced, because we said to be able to reach this very high level, the Helem She'ein B'Metzias, we need to have the level of Or Chayzer, the rebounding light. Everything else, the way of Helem She'ein B'Metzias, that's Or Yasher. The Or Chayzer is the light that comes bouncing off from challenges and difficulties, whether it's the challenges of understanding Torah or doing mitzvahs or nisyonis. As we know that Nisayan raised the person up, Nisayan Ugam L'Shain Haram Avagba, that Nisayan is also from the word raising up and lifting upon high, like we always bring the pasuk, that Nes Alahorim, like a flag on the mountains that's raised up high. And through doing and avoid in such a type of way, the way of effort and toil and nisyonis, so then Nasa Inyan the Havai Berchs Avram Bakoil comes about to have Shem benched Avram with everything. Shenimshach loy helam atzmi, that comes down to him his essential concealment. Amnam Benegel Inyan Anisyoin is concerning the idea of tests and challenges. We request every single day, do not bring us to tests and challenges. And the entire idea of tests and challenges is something that Hashem provides us with. In other words, Hashem gives us the tests. Like it says, that Hashem tested Avram. So therefore, we cannot say that the test is something that we have to do, because test is something that we have to pass, but we cannot trigger or originate the test. So what is completely within our domain and within our choice to do, in other words, as a beginning, not just a reactive type of thing. So the Rebbe says in line 25, the main avoid of every single yid in the day-to-day life. Through that we draw down the essential concealment. It's the avoid on the level of daughter. What is the avoid on the level of daughter? It's the avoida in accepting the yoke of heaven, and it's the lower level of awe. In other words, Bas is always associated with Sfiras HaMalchus. Chochma Bina is called father and mother, as we know from Tanya. Zah and Malchus, the Midas and Malchus, are likened to Ben and Bas, son and daughter. The level of daughter is the avoida, and the level of Malchus is the level of bittul. It's Kabbalah's oil. It's the lower level of Yira. But the Rebbe right away says, even though it's the lower level of Yira, but it's Hakshura Gam Madarga Yeser Nail Shabir, it's also connected with the higher level of awe. All the levels of Yira are connected one with the other, like it's explained in many places. So just because we're dealing with the Bas, which is the Yira Tatar, that doesn't mean that we don't have also the higher level. But that includes that and connects with that as well. Top of page test. This is also connected with what follows that Avraham Avinu then sent Eliezer on the mission to find Yitzchak a wife, and tells the whole story about how he found Rivka and how Yitzchak married her, etc. Because like we said before, that marriage is the revelation of the power of the infinite. So the Bas part is connected with this. This is similar to what's explained. Specifically in the ground, in the earth, Bechinas HaMalchus, which the ground is the level of Sfiras HaMalchus. Shamayim and Eretz. Shamayim is a Shamayim, that's Gevura and Chesed, the Midas, Zah, and Eretz is going on Midah of Malchus. It's the lowest level. It's also the level of Bas. Yeshnoi Koyach Ein Sof. There's specifically over there the power of Ein Sof. B'maimer Tachei Eretz Goymer, in the utterance that Hashem said that the earth should give forth the different types of grass, greenery, vegetation, etc., that in the heavens cannot grow anything. Nothing new can be created from the heavens. It's only in the ground, because specifically in the ground there's the power of the Ein Sof. So it's brought down. Why is that? How is that possible then in the ground? And similarly in Malchus, Malchus creates the worlds of Bian, not Zoh. Why is there the idea of the creation, the Ein Sof, specifically in the level of Oretz? So it's explained, Ki Ara is batless chulu, because the ground is in a state of bittul. Everybody treads on it, everybody steps on it. So that bittul makes it a vehicle for the Ein Sof. That's the same idea that we're talking about, that the Bas, that Hashem Berch Avram Bakoil, the level of Bas, the bitl of Bas, doing Torah mitzvahs in the way of Kabbalah's oil and so on, draws down specifically from the Helam Ha'atzmi and leads to the level of the Nesuyin, the marriage, which is also the revelation of the Koyach Ein Sof. Now, all of this that we spoke about is there, but in a concealed fashion. What is the idea of when is this going to become revealed? So it's Mashiach comes. He says in Ois Yud, line 6, Amdam Hamshachas Helam Ha'atzmi Shenasai de Masein over the Seinu B'chinas Bas Kanisker Le'el, the drawing down of the essential concealment that occurs through our actions and our service. In a level of Bas, like we mentioned earlier, Tizgala Rak La'asad Lavai will only become revealed in the future when Mashiach comes. She'oz Yiha Inyan, the Nekevet, the Seviv Gever, then will be the idea that the female will surround the male, or will be from the word higher, like Seviv. V'lechein Yiha Oz Kol Kala, that Dafka when Mashiach comes, there'll be the level of the sound of the Kala. It says, Meheri Yishama, B'hari Yehuda, B'chutzes Yerushalayim, Kol Chasam v'Kol Kala. So the idea of Kol Kala is the voice and the sound of the Kala is something that's not now. By a wedding now, everything is done through the Chasam. The Kala is completely silent. She does nod her head in agreement. She doesn't say yes. Nothing. It's all the Chassan does. Because now, before Mashiach comes, the Chassan is the Mashpia, so therefore the sound is only heard, which sound, like he's about to say, is Gilui, that's only to be heard by the Chassan. By the Kala, it's only Mekabel. But when Mashiach comes, it'll be Kol Chassan and Kol Kala. What does that mean? Shekoil Inyana Gil, the idea of sound and voice indicates revelation. In the future, when Mashiach comes, it'll become revealed the advantage and the quality of the level of Malchus. That's why Malchus, which is also the level of the Kala, the level of Bas, the level of Kala, the Chassan Nizah, that my love Malchus is not revealed now. True, it has that connection, etc., but it's not revealed. When Mashiach comes, it will become revealed Kol Kala. But now that's concealed. Now the Rebbe adds, that is in general, in the world. But to certain individuals, by them it's different. So he says in line 12, we could say that the level of Kol Kala, the level of the Maila of Malchus and Bas, was by Avraham in a state of revelation, even though it wasn't yet Mashiach's times. Shari Omra Razal, because the Chazal said, that 3, Hashem gave them a taste in this world of the world to come. Avram d'chsiv be'ev Hashem be'echs Avram Bakoil. From the word Bakoil, the Chazal derive that Avram got a taste of the world to come. And by Yaakov it says Koil, and by Yitzchak it says Mikoil, and all these 3 had a taste of the world to come. So now we can explain it and connect this with something else about the opinion that says that the name of Avraham Avinu's daughter was Bakoil. So he says in line 16, V'zoi das amanda Amar, this is the opinion of the one that says, that he had a daughter and her name was Bakoil. The shame hu inyan hagilui, the idea of a name is about revelation. Shari Hashem hu b'shvil azulas, the entire purpose of a name is only for someone else. I don't need a name for myself, because shal yodai nikra v'nimshach al azulas, because through the name I am called and drawn to the other one, to another person. So therefore, since the idea of a name is about a gilui, that's why always a chassidus, when we talk about a revelation, and we talk the name of Hashem, that's all talking about the revelations of Hashem. So when we say that Manda Omar says that Avraham Avinu had a daughter with the name Bakoil. So it says, V'zel Bakoil Shema. That's what it means. Bakoil was her name. She'etz Avram Hoya Begilui. That by Avraham Avinu was revealed, because shame shows in Revelation. Hamayla Shatia La'asad Lavoi Bakoil, top of page Yud. That it will be the advantage and the quality of Bakoil. He had a daughter that was named Bakoil. That means that the Bakoil was revealed because he already had the taste of Mashiach's times. But that's only Acherim Oimrim. That's only the other people's opinion. Ach Rabbi Yehuda Oimer Rak Bas Hoisaloi. But Rabbi Yehuda doesn't say that her name was Bakoil. All he says is that Bakoil comes to tell you that he had a daughter, but not that her name was Bakoil. Since the main union, like we said earlier, began with Yaakov Avinu, the Yichudim al Yoinim and the Yichud of Matan Torah began with Yaakov Avinu, as opposed to Avraham Avinu. It was only in a way of preparation. Therefore, the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda is, we do not know what was the name of the daughter, because he was not yet at that level where the quality of the bas should be revealed. It was concealed. So even though he had the daughter, he had that quality, he had the Helm Shein V'Metzias, etc., etc., but it was without a name. It wasn't in a state of revelation, because Avraham Avinu was only a chana, only a preparation for the yichud. Now the Rebbe in line 6, Yud Aleph adds further, we could add, in explaining the idea that Hashem benched Avraham Bakoil, Shal Achrei V'Avram Zokim Baba Yomim. Afterward, it says that Avraham was elderly and he came into days. That following that, we have Havai Berchs Avram Bakoil. So now he's going to bring from the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek often brings a lot of times just very Kabbalistic things without much explanation. He says like this: Al pi bira Tzemach Tzedek, according to the explanation of the Tzemach Tzedek, Shavram Zokin Baba Yomim, that level of Zokin and Baba Yomim, Zokin is one and Baba Yomim is the other thing, Hu Inyan Shin Ayin Nahorin. It's the idea of a level higher than Seder Ishtalshus, called the 370 lights. And the 370 lights are divided into two levels. It has two levels. Ha'achas, one level is Kuf Nun Nahorin. There's 150 lights. Bechlal, Shinai Nahorin has to do with higher than Seder Ishtalshus, has to do with Keser. So 150 of the 370 is Anim Shochim and Netzach Hoid V'Yisoid Arech Anpin. Those are the ones that come from Netzach and Hoidens Yisoid of Arech Anpin, the lower spheres in Arech Anpin in Keser. So from them comes out 150 lights. He doesn't explain what's the significance and what's those specific numbers having to do with those spheres. Hashniya, the second half or the second part, that's not an even half, of the leftovers of that 370 lights there is Arach Nahodim. There is, essentially it's 221, but one is extra over there. Hanmshachim Mekeser Chachmo Bina Chesed Gvura V'Tiferes Arach Ampin. The way Arach Ampin has in it these 5 spheres, in other words, the 5 higher spheres than the ones we spoke about before. So in these 5 higher spheres, there is 220 or 221. Arach is 221 lights. V'zeu inyan v'avram zakin, and that's hinted in one of these are hinted in Avram Zakin, one is hinted in Baba Yom. Avram Zakin means Hainu Zakin Shekana Chachma, that he acquired Chachma. that acquisition of Chachma, like we always speak about, Kana is referring to Bechinas Kufno Naharim. It's talking about the level of the 150 lights. V'acharkach Baba Yamim. Baba Yamim means he was older. And not just older, there is also, it says in the previous parsha about him being older, but here was exceptionally older in this parsha, is the Baba Yamim. So, Oirach Yamim. It's the Baba Yamim means length of days. Oirach is Heim Alle Afreish Chaf Naharim. These are the 220 plus 1 lights. So that is, the first part of the pasuk as opposed to the second part. The whole time in the Maimer we're speaking about Avraham, Zakin, Baba Yamim is one level. And then there's the much higher level, higher than say the Rishtalshlis, the Vashem Berch Savram Bakoil. So all that we're talking about up till now, all these levels of the 370 lights, the way they're hinted in Avram Zakin and Baba Yamim, Amlam Zeo, Rak Chitzonius Arich, Chitzonius Atik. These are either the external levels of Arich Ampin or the external levels of Atik Yomin. Following that, past that, and afterwards there's Avayim, benched Avram with Koil. Who bechina al yoyne yoyser shalamayla gamarach ampin. The level of Koil is a much higher level. It's higher even than Arach Ampin. Vu inyam pnimius Atik. It's the innermost level of Atik. She'achshavu behelam. Now this is concealed via Gala La'asad Lavai, and to become revealed in Mashiach's times. That's what's always explained in Chassidus and Kabbalah, that the revelation of Mashiach's times is the level of pnimius Atik. The Rebbe concludes, or the same of Meshach's all this is affected through our actions and service throughout the entire time of Golus. We set times for Torah learning and we fulfill mitzvahs in a way of Bas. That's what he's saying. Bas is the level of Kabbalah soil, accepting the yoke of heaven. Without being affected by any types of obstacles and blockages. That's most probably also the idea of the tests, that he overcomes any tests. Through that we make a home for the Eibishter. Just like concerning a home down here below, at the very essence of the person lives here in the home, and therefore he can undress himself there, and he feels no limitations over there. So too, it's in the supernal man, that making a home for Hashem means that the very essence of Hashem is found and lives in the home. The way it will be revealed in the future time. And the knowledge of this now adds and increases light and life in the service of Hashem, by knowing that what will happen when Mashiach comes, even though I don't feel it now, even though I don't see it now, that inspires me and energizes me, etc. Top of the last page. This is also connected with the conclusion of the month of Kislev, that I was already jumping ahead because Shabbos Mevarchim Kislev, Sha'oz was man the Chanukah. The end of the month of Kislev is the time of Chanukah. Concerning the candles of Chanukah, it says these lights will never cease. Because the lights of the Beis HaMikdash ceased, but the Neres Chanukah are always going on. Just like the third Beis HaMikdash, that will be an everlasting home. But Lifnei Chanukah and before Chanukah, Yud V'Yutes Kislev is already the idea of connected with this. That their idea, the 10th and 19th of Kislev, is spreading the wellsprings outward. Through this, the Master will come. This is the King Mashiach.